So open your phones, go to a browser, and type in menti, menti.com. And then when you get there, it's going to ask you for a code. And you're going to throw that code up there, 6190 3872. And we just have a bunch of fun little icebreaker questions to get us started, to get our brains moving. Fingers crossed that this works. It just did 5 minutes ago, but again, I repel technology, so. Yay! Awesome. All right, so throw up there. What's the first word that comes to mind when you hear accreditation? Be honest. That's why we're doing it this way, because then no one knows who did it. Quality was my word. Yay! Confidence. Oh my God, I love that. Process, I love lose like I'm just going to tell you. Standards, stress, yeah, sure, we're going to talk about that today. Dollar, okay? Dollar in a couple of different ways. We'll talk about that today too. Education, yeah, requirements, brand. Definitely, if you were with me at my roundtable yesterday, we talked a lot about brand and how brand really relates to accreditation and what the steps that we take in that quality pyramid to get you ready. Fun. All right, now let's make sure this works. Go to the next one. Yay. Okay, next one. This one's a poll. This is a little different. On a scale of 1 to 5, how confident do you feel about your school's readiness for accreditation? Well, this is fun. Okay. You're not ready, Vicole? You're not submitting. What if they were going to come out next week? Okay. I think that's fair. 2.8. Okay. That's good. That's actually a little higher than half. All right. This is true or false. Now I'm testing you. Is this a one-time process? Yay! There's more than 4 people in here. Yay, 6. Okay. So, no, ooh, all right. No, it's not a one-time process. And we'll talk about the stages of accreditation. You're going to work on it. We have a great journey that will guide you guys through. You become accredited, yay. We have Jessica with us from NECBA, so she might clarify this a little later. But right now it's a 3-year process. They're thinking about taking it to a 5-year process. Yay, that would be wonderful for us. So no, it's not one time. Quality is continuous. So the first one is probably the big one. That's the one that you're most nervous about. And then after that, it becomes old hat. And then I think I might have another. Oh yeah, none of they're true and false. Are families a part of the accreditation process? Your school families. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They're such a great part of the process. They're really going to help you guys get ready, work with you, help your team. They will help you audit your school. Another pair of eyes. They'll go into classrooms for you and say what they see and help you make smart action plans. Does anyone have a school family committee really established yet? Excellent, awesome. Great job, guys. The school family committee, they're really, really integral in helping you get ready. You're gonna share with them your program improvement plan. And parents really, they want to send their children to high quality schools. They will help you succeed. If you say to them, I'm really interested in creating a nature-based playground, you would be amazed. You may have a dad that's like, oh, I just took a tree down, or a mom. I just took a tree down in the backyard and here I have these logs. Let's help you make your playground a little bit more nature-based. So families are a huge part of the process. Oh, yeah, that was if we did a quiz, but we didn't do a quiz. All right. Great. Thank you for participating with me. That was a lot of fun. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm sharing the screen. See, I repel. Okay. Swap. No, it's not letting me.
For me.
Oh, no. Maybe I have to end it? End slideshow? I don't know. Yeah. Yay! I did it. All right, so we're going to chat for just a tiny bit. I got it, Sam. I did it. Yeah. We're going to chat for just a little bit about what are the benefits of NECBA accreditation, and we're going to break it down by your customers. So why does accreditation matter? You really have three customers: your children that come in the building every day, your staff, your team, and the families. These are really the top three people that make accreditation so important. So how does this affect your children? Higher quality learning environments, guys. Number one. Like, what we're here for every day is to make sure we're getting these kids ready for kindergarten. Like, that should be the question that's in your head every day. Are these children ready for kindergarten? And accreditation will help put you on that path to make sure that you are really harnessing everything that Teaching Strategies has to offer you and offering that high-level curriculum and the high-level environments. Consistent relationships. That's why I come in, I do class every year, an annual class visit, that tool, classroom assessment scoring system. Nationwide tool by a company called TeachZone that does a really, really great job of breaking down all the indicators that accreditors are looking for when they come in. What's the climate like in the room? What's the language modeling like in the room? What's the facilitation of learning and development? So when I come and I do a class visit, that really is just to prepare you for when the validator's in your room watching and observing your teachers. It also really does help prepare your teachers too. I was a teacher in the classroom for 10 years. So I know what it's like when someone comes in and observes, and it can be like, worrisome. Mindy and I were having this conversation yesterday when I was at her school, and her teachers did wonderful. They knocked it out of the park because they were prepped and prepared with observations that Mindy and her team were doing at their school. So they were ready for me. So that's why we do all of these steps. Step one, you go in the classroom and you do an observation using that tool. And if anyone has any questions about that tool, I helped develop it, and Stephanie's here. She, along with me, helped develop that tool. We can answer any questions that you have. But that tool was developed in mind so that when I come and I do a class visit, your teachers are prepared. And then when an outsider, a validator from NECBA comes in and does a visit, then your teachers are super prepared. Stronger curriculum and instruction, we chatted about that. Individualized attention, your children are going to get that individualized care. When you're using Teaching Strategies to its highest level and your teachers are assessing the children using the gold part of the platform, then that individualized instruction is ready for you. Your teachers put in the work ahead of time by assessing the children, and then the algorithm inside of Teaching Strategies will automatically put children into what we call flexible groups, so your teacher knows how to sit at that small group and work with that group of children. So the more you put into Teaching Strategies, the more that you get out of it. Safe and healthy spaces. I have to say, when I go to all of your schools, that usually is really top-notch. That protect part of the three pillars is usually really, really great. So this just elevates that. Equity and inclusion. How are we bringing in other cultures? How are we including all children? I think we're seeing a rise now of children with special needs. How are we including them in the classroom? How are we working on maybe some behavior management in the classroom to help children that need that extra help? When you're going through the accreditation process, it helps your teachers really hone in on that with the children in the room and be able to individualize that instruction and give them the care that they need. And then in the end, really, it's all about kindergarten readiness. Are we getting our children ready for kindergarten? Yeah, Carl. Yeah, no, it doesn't need to be quick. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. So there is curriculum inside that can help with that, and I can show you later if you want to look inside of it. And we also have some proprietary curriculum that we've made inside of Celebrate One that I can guide you to. Yeah? Yep. All right. And then how does accreditation help your staff, your team, really? Because pouring into them is really what makes the environments and the learning environments best for children. So when we focus on staff and that grow big part, there's no way to talk about how much professional growth and development helps your team. And inside of Teaching Strategies, again, if you need help with that, I have a little plug for my roundtable right after this. I'm going to talk about the top 5 things you need to know about Teaching Strategies. So meet me at my roundtable and I'll show you guys how to coach and develop your team through Teaching Strategies, making sure your teachers are getting inside the quorum, assigning them professional growth and development. Maybe you've done that teacher observation inside the classroom, so you know, oh, I think this teacher needs a little bit of help with classroom management. Go onto the quorum and teaching strategies and assign them a class. And then you'll know that they took the class. You guys can talk about it afterwards. Throw these things on their IGPs. Really use the quorum in teaching strategies, and we can talk about that at my roundtable. Career advancement and recognition. Schools that are accredited tend to get a little bit more money through your state programs. It varies state by state, but there are a few states out there that if you're working from an accredited school, they'll send your teachers to school for free. Pay their books, pay their tuition. They just have to stay in the industry for a little bit. I think that that's normal in any kind of industry. But when you say we're an accredited school and we're working towards high quality, the state will help you and help your teachers. Yeah, Vakul. More about what the state has to offer. I can help you with that. Yeah, we can dive into what Virginia has to offer your teachers. Like I said, it varies state by state. In Maryland, they do a lot. Credentialing program, bonuses, paid school. They are in July. This July. Yeah, please tell your teachers to get credentialed. Yes. Yep. I can help you with that. Yeah, Mindy. Yes. I saw that. I got the email from ECEC. Yeah. Yeah. So that's exciting. Yeah, that was a lot of work that you guys did. Improved work environment. Teachers who collaborate together, who rely on each other, who really, really care about the children in their classroom, tend to help each other out. The teamwork builds, the camaraderie builds. We're going to talk a little bit later with Vakul about that, about how that changed, being accredited, how that maybe changed his team. And then all of that, in the end, is just better outcomes for children, really, which is why we're here. And then the last part, families. How does this help your families? I was chatting with a few people, I think last night at the cocktail hour, about how today's parents are the smartest parents ever. Ever. They literally can go onto ChatGPT and type in there, I have a tour that I'm doing tomorrow. What are the top 5 things I should ask the owner or the director? And they get a list. So they know what to ask. They know what they're looking for. When they come into your school, they want to see a clean environment. They want to see shelves filled with toys. They want to see happy children. They want to see teachers down, making eye contact, asking those critical thinking questions. They want to see evidence of education. That is why they're coming into your school. They want to see those things. So when you are an accredited school, you can assure your team is assured, your families are assured, the owner is assured that you're offering high quality. You have those high standards. Everyone understands what they are, and you're all working together to achieve them. Families can rest assured knowing that the curriculum is child-centered, that the educators in the classroom are qualified, all the outcomes are improved, all the policies are transparent. Typically, in accredited schools, you have more of a collaboration with your families. They feel like they're a part of your school. And peace of mind, dropping off every day, right? Like that's what the parent wants. They want peace of mind. They drop off, they walk away, they know that you and your team, you've got it. And that accreditation helps you get there with all of that. Any questions about the 3? And there's also another really, really big one, but I'm hoping in the panel we can dive into how this benefits you guys as an owner. All right, so real quick, I'm just gonna go over the steps to accreditation, just so that we all know, but I also wanted to do another plug for next Tuesday. I think I'm kicking off the next cohort. Yay. Please join me on a Teams call. We're going to talk for an hour. We're going to go into more depth about all this. So that's kind of why I'm skimming it a little bit today, but I wanted to give you an overview. If you were in my cohort last year, but something happened and you didn't finish, that's okay. Join me again, and we'll start over. No problem. All right, so step 1, you're going to enroll, and you're going to do a self-study. You're going to evaluate your program. You're going to get together a team of teachers, a team of parents. You're going to review the NECPA accreditation standards and understand. It's an open book test, guys. You're going to read and understand what is being asked of you, what's being asked of your team, and you're going to evaluate your school, and from that, you're going to create a program improvement plan. This step is the longest. This is the step that we will be in together for a year. Step 2, you're going to ask for that verification visit. You're ready. We've gone through this. We've worked together for a year. Or maybe you're an overachiever and you leave the cohort and you decide in 7 or 8 months you're ready. That's fine. That's what Vakul did. It's okay. We like it. And then you're going to ask for that verification visit. NECBA, they're extremely transparent. They're extremely communicative. They come out, hopefully within a couple of months. Vakul, how long did it take for you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. Right. Yeah, they're not going to surprise you. It's not like my visits. You'll know when they're coming. So this is when you and your team say we're ready. You push that button, you contact NECBA, they schedule a time with you, and you just sit back and wait. And you take that time too to get a couple more things ready. Then they come out and they visit you. They spend time at your school. They look through all of your documentation, all of your policies, all of your school-centric policies, all of the master policies that we've already prepared for you, that we know are good because Vakul's school got accredited, so the master policies were all accepted. And that was a lot of work. Vakul was my champion alongside me. We worked on it together. So we did it for you. Then you just sit back and you wait. You can wait on NECBA's timeline, or you can ask for expedited results because maybe you're just too excited and you can't wait, and you want the results back in about a week. Yeah, yeah, which is nice because your team's excited. They just had the visit. They feel great. Maybe you went out and had a team dinner. Or you got together that night and everybody's really excited. And then sometimes you have to wait we go through Maryland accreditation a lot at the Maryland schools, and sometimes it's almost like 60 days. And then you get it and you're like, yay, all right. It would have been, a little bit better if it was right away. So step 4 are annual reports. You have to submit a report every year. It's pretty straightforward, pretty transparent, just making sure you're keeping up with policies. It's a few questions on the report. You fill that out annually, usually around your anniversary date, and send those in to NECBA just so that they can keep track. And then step 5 is doing it all over again. Reaccreditation process. Hopefully in 5 years, not in 3. Yeah. So right now it's 3, but NECBA has been talking about moving it to 5-year. Maryland accreditation went to 5 years this year, yes. It used to be 3, now it's 5. Yep. All right. Any questions about the steps? And like I said, if you join me next Tuesday, we'll really delve into this a lot more. Okay, I would love to invite up Vakul Goel, our franchisee of the year, to sit and join me so we can talk with about his experience. And then Stephanie, Falston Mom of the Year, join me. Stephanie is coming up as the viewpoint of a parent whose children went to a Falston Celebrate. They started there and it was not accredited, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Animals are not.
Right. Right. Yep. So Stephanie's daughter, Annabelle, was in the school before it was accredited, and now so she has the viewpoint of it being accredited now. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I do have another person, but maybe she'll be here in a little bit. I did ask Katie Young to join us from the point of view of a school going through accreditation right now. So, all right, just a few questions. But cool, can you start us off? Oh, and I have Jessica, but you can hear. Jess, are you there?
I am. Hello, everyone.
Yay, yay. All right, so Jessica is our NECBA expert. And she is so amazing. The minute I send off a question, I get the answer right back. She's such a great resource. You will have access if you want to email and ask her questions. She really helped guide Vakul and I through our first NECBA accreditation, so she's a valuable resource, and she's here as the NECBA representative. But I do want to start, Vakul, with you and ask, what was your motivation for seeking accreditation?
So I've got some notes on my phone. I wanted to make sure that I say the right things. But definitely, like the way we were talking about all the buzzwords in here, right? Standards, confidence, validation, curriculum, all of those things are definitely part of the part of the reasons why we wanted to do it, and how it was gonna work for us, right? I mean, it's one thing to tell the families that we are a great school. It is another thing to say that, hey, and we have been validated by a third-party agency, who, by the way, is a nationally accredited agency. It's not like some mom and pop shop and coming up and saying, oh, I accredited you, right? So that was one of the big reasons why we decided to go with NECPA, why we decided to go for accreditation. It's also a validation with the parents and saying, hey, guys, look who we are. What we are doing is important, and it's not just like what we keep saying and keep telling you every single day in and out, right? There was other thing. The third big thing was marketing. It becomes so much easier to say, again, going back to we are nationally accredited, but it is so much easier to go and have a conversation with anybody. Market and say how many schools in this vicinity are nationally accredited, and you can count it on fingers, 1, 2, 3. No, I mean, Richmond Metro has 7 NACI and 3 NECPA, if I'm not wrong. So that, I mean, again, out of about 50, 60 main childcare centers, educational schools, when you're talking about less than 20% of them are nationally accredited, that separates you out. Hiring. It's a big thing. When you talk to teachers, when you advertise a job and say, we are nationally accredited, you're smart teachers, you're teachers who are wanting to be with you, to grow with you, right? Those are the people who are like, yeah, I want to be with you. And that certainly helps a lot. Let me double check if I missed something. Oh, and obviously, we grow people big and small, right? So it definitely plays part in both big and small, but I also say that when we get nationally accredited, it is also growing the school as a business. It's also growing the school big, but it's not just that. It is also growing the entire community big. Now you have a really standard school in the community that parents can be proud to send their children to. So
That's why you're up here. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you.
that's why I put my notes too.
So Steph, as a parent, did you feel the difference when Falston School became accredited?
So as Kristen said, my children have gone to a couple of different celebrities. Happens when you're a corporate employee, they kind of bounce around. And so they have been at schools that have not been accredited and schools that have been accredited. And so currently my youngest is in school age at our Falston location in Maryland, and they are accredited at this point. They had not been when I first moved her over there, and toddlers, I guess. So she's been there quite a little bit. The look and the feel and the mood and the vibe is very, very different, right? Teachers are coming in and you see how they carry themselves. It changes in how you see the interactions with the children, from the infant room all the way up to that school age room, right? It's a difference between we are seeing professional educators and maybe I hate this phrase, but daycare workers, right? When we're changing infants, is it that baby is just kind of being sat up there on that changing table, we go through the routine of just changing that baby and then put them back down on the ground? Or is it an entire experience? Is it I walk over to the infant on the ground and I talk to them about, oh, it's time to change your diaper, we're gonna get a clean hiney, all these things, and then we get up on the changing table and we talk through all of the process of how we're changing the diaper. We started several years ago, I should say Kristen started several years ago, changing chat. So we're already starting let's have conversations, let's sing with the children while they're doing the diaper changes and things like that. So from just those regular routines in the younger classrooms all the way through everyday activities and experiences where that higher level questioning and conversations are coming in. So instead of a teacher just sitting at a table with some children while they're over in toys and games and you have a child doing a puzzle, we go even deeper where that child's putting together a puzzle where there is, a photograph of an adult wearing a blue shirt, and I see teachers asking, what color is that shirt? And the child says it's blue. And then we go to, when have you worn a blue shirt? Or when have you seen someone wear a blue shirt? What else have you seen that's blue? I mean, that level of communication and interaction is wildly different. And it's just so really cool to see that, because that changes the child's learning. The children are then able to go home and tell parents what they did during the day. They start to incorporate such higher level words, right? So it's not just saying, talk to a friend about something. We're bringing in big words like converse with a neighbor. And then a child gets to go home and say, I conversed with a friend today and we talked about pipettes. Like, what? Right? Yeah. A parent's gonna be like, were we in college today? What's happening right now? You're 4, right? So that was a huge, it's a huge game changer for us. We're able to see that in the community, right? We not just talk about it when families are coming in for a visit. We're able, as Vakul said, to market about that. We put those teardrop flags that are out there. It's a very, very, very big deal. And it really changes the dynamic, like I said, of the engagement that's happening between the teachers and the children with the leaders that are in the classroom, and just overall that growth and development of those little guys that are in the programs.
Thank you, Steph. Yes, 100%. I love what you talked to about all of the language development, which is so huge. Pre-literacy skills, guys, they start when they're babies, and all of the just the communication that Stephanie was talking about and all the engagement, that those pre-literacy skills really start when those little guys are in your infant A room. And there's a reason why we have low feeding chairs. Everything is purposeful. We want the teachers down on the ground and maintaining eye contact with the children and talking with them, especially during meal times. I'm not sure if you've looked inside of Celebrity One, but we have a whole mealtime curriculum for you guys with conversation prompts for the teachers, to chat with the kids and sit down and have a little snack with them too. Like bring out some hummus and carrots and sit at the table and chat with the kids. And all of these things are available for your teachers to help them get ready for accreditation. But then, accreditation is a day and it is a check mark. It really is about this happening every day throughout the longevity of your school. So thank you, Steph. Jess, are you there?
I am.
Awesome. Can you share with us maybe some common pitfalls that schools can avoid as they're going through accreditation? I'm sure you've seen some doozies. Can you share with us some of these pitfalls?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things I've seen is directors, owners, assistant directors, curriculum coordinators not including their staff. The staff feel they're already very nervous when someone's coming in and observing them for the day. So it just kind of helps alleviate some of those nerves if you make them a full part of the process. Myself, when I was an executive director, I used to actually print out all of Part B, the observational sections, and my teachers went and they observed each other. And they had those the same time I was doing self-study on Part A. That allowed them to take some ownership and alleviate some of the anxieties. One of the big things I typically see when I'm processing results is typically around hand washing, face to name counts, so making sure we're taking attendance. Those are probably the really big things, in my opinion, the ones I type up so often. And it's one thing, like I try to tell programs, it's one thing if, oh my goodness, you totally forgot to wash hands and you go back and you do it. It's another thing if you just don't do it at all. Right. The same thing applies when you have maybe a group of children transitioning to the playground. Everybody knows that on accreditation day, something is going to happen because that's just how it works. Yes. I mean, let's be real. That's how it is. But it's how your teachers respond to it and if they follow the processes and procedures that are in place. So let's say little Johnny decides he wants to run off from the group on accreditation day because, because of course that's going to happen. If that, you have 2 teachers in that room, if that one teacher says, all right, everyone, let's freeze. You have a teacher engaging with the rest of them while the other teacher immediately goes and gets the child and brings them back to the group. While that might be written down that happened, it's also going to be documented that the teachers followed the proper policies and procedures in place to maintain safety. So it's not the child did this, so it's a no. So keep in mind that anything, no matter what the pitfall might be, it's all about how the teachers and how you respond to that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I took a couple of things from that. We are already a step ahead because no one is crazier about face-to-name checks than Celebrity School. So check, we're good. Hand washing. I mean, I don't think have gone to school ever and not seen hand washing happening, so check. And then I love Jess's advice about just stay calm. Tell your teachers that. You know the procedures, you know the rituals, you know the routines. Just take a deep breath, stay calm, because little Johnny is going to do something that day. We know this, but it's all about how the teacher reacts to it and what the teacher does after that. Because Johnny, 3-year-old's gonna 3-year-old, but it's how the teacher reacts to that. Thanks, Jess. I'll have another question for you in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, now I'm putting Kelly Amrine on the spot. Kelly and I worked together when she was the Celebrity School of Bel Air director to get a Bel Air accredited for the first time. So I just wanted to ask Kelly, what routines or habits keep accreditation standards alive in daily operations? This is off the cuff. We did not plan or prepare.
I would probably say, keep to the routines and rituals that you should already be doing in your school. So, you should be having monthly team meetings with your entire building. And, when we were going through that process, every team meeting we would have each month, we would introduce a new and updated accreditation policy. So, we would focus on child-directed art versus processed art. And then we would have them bring samples to the meeting, and then we would make it a contest. So our hallway bulletin boards is where we started, and that's what we're starting with right now at my current school. So it's introducing different things every month to them, so they're not overwhelmed and they don't feel that they can't catch up or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. A lot of praise and support from the management team, letting them know, you guys are doing an amazing job. I can see the difference. It's not going to happen overnight. So different things like that, really supporting your team. And then the buy-in for the parents, I think, was one of the big ones for us. At Bel Air, we did have a pretty good turnout with our school family committee. But I think it was just getting that one group of parents that were really invested in that time to be able to go into the classrooms and help us do observations and things like that. So really looking at your parent group and seeing who is going to be your advocate on that side to really come into those classrooms and give you honest truth feedback on what they see as a parent, because obviously multiple eyes are better than your own because you're in it, you live it. You don't see all those little things that somebody walking in off the street would be able to see. So really getting that feedback and having good advocacy with your parents.
Thank you, Kelly. You off the cuff too. Yes. Utilize your FBC. Yes. I loved your idea about introducing things slowly to your team so that they don't get overwhelmed. I think that's a great idea. And if you haven't gone on to Celebrity One, inside the accreditation folder is another folder called staff meetings. And there are a bunch of different staff meetings there for you to utilize. The work is already done for you guys. You don't have to think about it. They're really nice PowerPoints and resources. I have notes inside the PowerPoint to guide you through the presentation, but there are a ton of different topics. Child-led art is one of them that Kelly just talked about. Provocations. What are provocations? What are these invitations to play? There's a great PowerPoint on class to introduce class to your teachers and what they're going to be evaluated on. So really go inside that and look at it. And I would just organize your staff meetings around that because I think that's a really great piece of advice. Vakul, can I come back to you and ask you that now that you're accredited, what changes have you noticed in your school? Oh, sorry.
Well, I learned something just now that we have a folder staff meetings. So we've been building that staff meetings every single month on our own. Now we're going to use that. But there are a lot of positives. The biggest one is to understand why, right? We've been doing things like you guys said, right? That we do name to face checks, right? Or we do process arts, or we get down to the eye level, or we do, I mean, there are so many things that are part of the accreditation process, and there are so many things that are part of the brand standard. It is important for teachers to understand why is that important. And, as part of the accreditation process, when they see things are happening, it's one thing to tell them that, hey, you have to do this, and second thing to tell them why you have to do this. And as they start to understand those things, it becomes that habit and a ritual for them to continue to do it on a daily basis. So that's really important, and that was a big change that we felt as throughout the accreditation process of how it was, like, what we did and why we did it. But that also brought in consistency, right? I mean, now you are doing it, as I said, rituals, right? Habits and rituals are in place, and now it's becoming so consistent, it becomes a second nature for them to implement those, which is not so easy to do if you're coming from a different place. I always say that we are the best in the neighborhood, but why we are best is because we do it on a consistent basis. You cannot fake it on a day of visit. You just cannot. You have to do it consistently every single day for little Johnny to fail, and be supported throughout that event of how we support that. And that is not a one-day thing. And it is not just about the students, it's also about the teachers, because there are teachers who, they are overwhelmed. I have said this a million times to my teachers, I don't know how they do their job. I cannot do their job. I am not that person who can do the job. I can run a business, I can run a school, I cannot do that job. So I understand that it is so complicated, right? And then on top of that, somebody is walking in and observing you. Imagine that, somebody sitting in your office and observing you, what you're doing, and then taking notes on top of it. That is mind-boggling. So getting them habitual of those observations, whether it's your school director, whether it's a parent, whether it's FBC, Andrew, or your FBC coming in and taking those notes, I think they go a long way, because they not only realize that yes, what you're doing is right, but there are some things that they identify, and it's okay for them to identify things, because it's all an opportunity to get better. So that is also extremely important, that we started to realize that it is there. Third aspect was parents, right? Parents start to see the differences. Parents start to see how consistent, how educational we are. And I'm going to give an example on this one, which directly relates to a lot of things that we do. I was telling you this yesterday. 2 weeks ago, not too far, 2 weeks ago, we had a family walk in for a tour and said, I'm an elementary school teacher. And a child from your school came to register with us, because this child is graduating from pre-K and now going to kindergarten. And she is like, I was amazed by the information, by the conversations this child had. And all I had to ask was, where are you coming from? And she said, Celebri, this elementary school teacher withdrew her child from Goddard and enrolled with us. That is the positive impact that we are bringing to the community. And that is the validation that we see. I mean, when Richie said yesterday that I get excited, these are the things that excite me the most. So yeah, I mean, a lot of positives.
Thank you. That's why we go through accreditation, to offer this high quality care. And then what amazing testimony to have a teacher come in and say, I know this, and then the word is going to go around, and they're going to start to say, oh, that child must have gone to Celebri. That child was at a cool school. Oh, that's awesome. Jess, can you give us some tips for a successful accreditation journey from that time that you start enrolling and you do the self-study, and we're going through the self-study process? Do you have any tips for everybody that's getting started?
Yeah, just set goals for yourself, but be flexible on your goals, your timeline goals. Chunk it up. Make sure that you give yourself some grace. It's going to seem like a lot at first, because it is a lot, but keep in mind that you're doing this stuff every day. It's just a matter of documenting it and showing it and really making sure you're living it daily. So I would just, set those goals, make them small. Even if it's once a week, your goal is to upload 5 documents. At least you've done something towards it, and by the end, you will be good.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you. Any questions? We have so many experts up here. Vakul is someone who's gone through the entire process. Stephanie is on both sides of the process. She's helped me with accreditation. I love the hands. I'm going to stop talking. All right, Mr. Skidmore.
First and foremost, I think just a wonderful story, right? Just to hear, right, how you've, right, taken on this leadership role, right, and just really made it, right, such a success, and just really just, push forward and lean forward, right? So just kudos to you and your team. I guess from my standpoint, right, knowing that the staffing that we have out there, right, how was the staff engagement throughout the process? What was it initially like, and then what was it like afterwards?
I know.
So, great question. That's the biggest challenge. You have to get the teachers involved, right? I mean, it's about understanding of why, right? So definitely that's a challenge. The big staffing change that we made when we decided to go into the accreditation journey was my school director, who we had hired in, when I opened, 6 months before we opened, we hired the school director. We moved her into the accreditation role. And we said, you are the director for accreditation for us, and you're going to be doing not just the director, just accreditation. There are so many other things that an individual can do. She's handling my tools, she's handling my finances in terms of subsidy and other things. So there is a multiple things, jobs that she's doing. But we moved her into the accreditation role, that you are the director for accreditation for us. This is something she wanted to do. Once we moved her into that role, her job was to engage all of the teachers and all of the classrooms. She went through the list. I went through the list and she went through the list of everything that needed to be done. We started engaging not just Kristen and Jessica from NECPA, but we started engaging all of the staff members. We identified 2 or 3 individuals in the team who we said, you are definitely our champions of accreditation. You are going to help us out. We gave them the financial bonuses and benefits as well, saying that, hey, let's work towards it. If we get it, this is what I'm going to pay you. And, it's not huge, but it is something that they were agreeing to. And once that happened, we were all in. And that's how they were like, we are, as administrators, are always outside. When I say always outside, mostly outside. We are inside a lot, but the teachers are inside all the time. So they hear things, they see things, and they're like, nope, let's do it this way. This is how it makes more sense to do it, and that kind of thing. That's how we got the involvement a lot more than us telling them, or my accreditation director telling them. Once we got those 2 or 3 teachers involved, that's where it literally flipped the switch for us. I did. So at this time, we have 3 administrative staffs besides me. We have a director for accreditation, we have a school director, and we have an assistant director.
Yeah, I think that was a game changer. That was a game changer for Vakul. I worked a lot with May, who was Vakul's accreditation director, and I think it was helpful for him because he had one person to go to and say, okay, what is going on with this? And you empowered her a lot, which I think was great for her development and growth. I could see the change in her, how much more confident she was with curriculum when that was over. So I thought that was a really, really great idea. I think I saw someone from our Philly contingent raise their hand. There you go, Mike.
So in reading through the NECPA standards, I recognized about roughly 80% of it really matches up with the Celebrity brand standards. So from that standpoint, I'm less concerned, right? But the remaining 20% is all about the teachers getting certain levels of education, certain percentages. I'm in a community that finding those teachers is very challenging. Some of them we are pushing through CDAs, but what are some of the strategies you worked through to help your teachers get to that level so that that wasn't holding you back when it came time for your visit?
Sorry. So the other mic isn't working, Sam. It's okay. Steph, are you taking this one? Oh, I thought you were taking it. Vakul, Kelly, do you want to talk about teacher qualifications? Vakul can talk about it.
I can. I mean, so the teacher qualifications is definitely a big part of accreditation, and that took us the most time. I mean, I'm not going to deny that, right? I mean, but if you read the letter in which it is written, NECPA is actually, if you once you start going through it, you will see that NECPA only requires you to have 2 lead teachers, or 3 lead teachers, if I'm not wrong, one for each age group. Those teachers are not by the classroom. So if you have 10 different classrooms, you don't need 10 different lead teachers. You only need 3 lead teachers for 3 different classrooms. And then everybody else, and those 3 lead teachers should be available all the time when your school is open. So you technically need 6 lead teachers to cover all the shifts. And then you have to have your staff who is actually working with them, who they are available in case they have questions to go to the respective age group of lead teachers, whether it's infants or twos or the older ones, right? So that was one thing when we started looking into it, and when we started diving into the details of how it is done and what's the difference, that was a big game changer once we understood that. The other thing is there are specificities, and we can definitely talk about those. Like, once we onboard a teacher, right? We don't start them into the classroom unless they go through a 40 hours of our onboarding training. And that onboarding training covers a lot of different things, which is actually covered by NECPA. So if you have a teacher within first year, you have 40 hours already covered. And then it is a 24-hour of continuous education. While our licensing standards only require 16, we have made it mandatory that every teacher, every year, irrespective of the duration, they have to go through at least 24 hours of training. Now, if we take it a step further, like Columbus Day, for example, for us is a professional development day, that's 8 hours. Memorial Day, Labor Day, those are another 4 and 4 hours. So that's like 16 hours are already covered. First aid, CPR, there are so many other trainings, plus Quorum and Teaching Strategies Gold. They have so many trainings that teachers want to take. I mean, finding trainings wasn't hard. Documenting trainings is what took us a lot of time to make sure that we have it. I'm going to take it a step further on that. The biggest challenge for us in there was first aid CPR, because NECPA requires, and I think Jessica can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but NECPA requires you to have 90% of your staff to be first aid CPR. Licensing only requires every group of teacher to have one, available for first aid CPR. If you have a staff of 30, 27 must be first aid CPR, and that was a challenge for us to make sure that we do that.
Thank you, Vakul. Jess, did you have anything you wanted to add about teacher qualifications?
So for teacher qualifications for assistant teachers, there is an option for 33% of them to be on a professional development plan. So that helps. We also, NECPA offers something called a CCP, which is equivalent to the CDI, but it covers all age groups in one certificate versus separate by the age group, which is helpful, especially with staffing to be the way it is now, and having to switch teachers around some, just based on the candidate pool shrinking so significantly. So that does help. And NECPA's not going to, if you don't meet the qualifications for the teachers when they come out, they will more than likely put you in a pending or even maybe a deferred with documentation status until the teachers meet those criteria. We also have alternative pathways. So if a teacher, you go back, I call them lifetime training hours, so back to their very first day in early childhood, every 45 hours of training, whether that be staff meetings, in-house trainings, CEUs, outside of that, whatever the case may be, every 45 hours of training is 1 credit. So 540 hours of training is equivalent to 12 credits, that meets the educational qualifications for a lead teacher. So there are alternative pathways to meet that. And I know that Celebrate has a ton of training. So that 540 hours is probably really easy.
Yeah. Thanks to Stephanie and her team up there with all the trainings. I saw another hand over here. Yeah.
It was just to circle back on the CPR stuff. So we're in a situation right now, we have a good amount of part-time folks. Do those folks also fall under the 90% requirement?
When you have a staff within the group, I mean, my thinking was always if you have 25 teachers or 20 teachers in the building at any given time, 90% of those must be first aid CPR. So, and that's why we didn't go by at any given time. We said, okay, this is my pool of staff, which is 30. I'm going to make sure that 27 of them are first aid.
I can tell you by experience, when I first opened Elkridge, I had all of my staff first aid and CPR trained, and then I offer it twice a year where I have a instructor come into our school. We plan it way far in advance so the teachers know the date so they can save it. I pay for it. I offer it twice a year. Every one of my teachers in part-time, full-time, they're all CPR first aid.
That's great. Okay, Mindy.
This isn't a question, it's a comment. We also had a CPR teacher come into our building, and we offered classes to parents, which they really appreciated.
That's a great little tip. Okay, Ori?
So going back to Vakul, I understand. I asked this question fully knowing that every school is different, but you said you incentivized your teachers, the lead teachers you chose for each age group. Can you give a little bit more detail about it? And I know that every school has a different footprint and different ways of doing it. Just trying to get an idea of how you incentivize them, or how much it took for them to get them on board and having them come on with you.
So not every lead teacher, we actually identified like 2 or 3 school mentors. And those are the folks we said we're gonna incentivize you to go and work with other teachers inside the building. I offered them $250 of incentive. I was like, if we do get accredited, no, I didn't say if we get. I said, once the visit is complete, whether we get accredited or not, that is not on you guys. That is on us, whether we get accreditation or not. But we want you to work hard towards it. And so long as you are working hard towards it, you will get it once our visit is completed. Again, the idea was not to incentivize them to get accredited. It was to make sure that they get the team involved. And again, there are different ways of doing it. It just worked for us.
For schools being at all different levels, like financially, you don't always have to give a monetary incentive. Like, there are some of those teachers that you will find in your school that just want to make a difference. And as soon as you can create that buy-in for them and explain to them what the importance is to be accredited and that stature that they can hold as a teacher, creating that buy-in for them is enough. So find those teachers in your school. You have them, just find them. And then once you get them on board, then it becomes a trickle effect, to where, they're getting that buy-in, they're going into classrooms, they're like, wow, this looks so great. That's such great, process art, child-led art and things like that. And just have it move from there. Get them involved, and then they will get other teachers on board as well.
Last question. Sorry, I think we're running out of time.
So in this whole process with Cool, it sounds like you've identified a lot of high-performing staff members, and you obviously want to maintain them as the years go on. You also added a third administrative salary. So how did you offset all of this in the journey?
Think of it as an investment, right? More than anything else. 5 students, if you get more enrollment, 5 students enrollment is more than enough to offset that salary. Can you get 5 students enrolled because you are NECPA accredited? I think we can. I think we can do a lot more than that. So that's how you have to, it's my conversation with Chris and everybody in Celebri when I was building the first one, or I'm going to be building my second one, is does this equate to, or how much does it equate to in terms of enrollment? And if I were to be doing this, is this increasing my enrollment? And if it is, by how much, right? If I can say I can increase my enrollment by 10%, I'm at 150 right now, I can be at 165. That 15 kids is way more than what I'm paying one administrative staff.
The other bonus to that as well is being accredited also allows you to open up to scholarships for military and federal workers, all of them having to go back to work. I've seen a huge influx in childcare aware scholarships, the MCCYN scholarships and things like that. All of those you either have to be in the accreditation process or you have to be accredited in order to accept those scholarships. So that's a huge buy-in for parents when they come in for enrollment, is saying, yes, I can accept those because we're in this process. So that will definitely give you increased enrollments as well.
And most states will give you bonuses because you're operating at high quality. So that's really nice too. All right. Here are the next steps. If you haven't received
A invite, please just shoot me an email and join me on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday from 11 to 12 for our cohort kickoff. Then once we do that, you're going to rally your team, you're going to rally your families, and then you're just going to get started. Just initiate the enrollment process on NECBA's website. Corey, go ahead, yeah. So I would say it's really nice to at least have one really dedicated parent per age group. I think that that is a really, really good start. Sometimes less is more, and the ones that are really, really involved and they care because their children are in that classroom, they will help you. Kelly, do you find that to be the same? Yeah. One per age group.
And then switch them. So like, I would choose one per age group, but then also they're not observing that age group. So it's like you have like an infant parent that is totally like, she's like your cheerleader, but she's going to be observing preschool, or she'll be observing like 2-year-olds, but she won't be observing infants.
Great advice. All right. Yeah. Group different. So think about age groups as infant, toddlers, and those younger twos, and then the next age group are your preschoolers. Preschool 3s, preschool 4s, pre-K, that's another age group. Yep. Infant, toddler 2s. 2. Yep. NECBA thinks about it that way.
I think 16 months and older for school age is a different age.
Yeah, the school age is a different age group. Yep. All right. Any last thoughts or questions? All right, guys, thank you so much. It really is a testament that you're even here, that you're at that spot in your school where you're ready to think on a higher level about education, about quality, and really investing in your teachers and offering this to your communities, I think is such a testament. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Vakul, Stephanie, Kelly, last minute. You were a rock star. All right, guys, thank you. I think roundtables are next. Yeah.